Yeah, I want to point to some of my favorite knives I have. Actually, some of them I had for many years. Some actually probably about more than 40 years, 45 years. Some I had 25 years. Some I just had. Well, one I just got actually last month. Actually, I like this one. It's an Estwing. It's not really a knife. It's a machete, but it's almost like an oversized K Bar in a way. And I actually have two K Bars here, but they're different. They're from K Bar Corporation. A lot of people think about the USMC K Bar, which I have here. I've had this for 25, 30 years or something. I don't know how long I've had it, quite a while. But it's, the one thing that's a disadvantage of it, though, and actually, I'll tell you right now, I got my name on there blacked out with tape, because, this is a public video, but you could actually have your name engraved right in here, which is not a bad idea in case somebody rips it off on you or something and, winds up at somebody else's. Say, yeah, that's not mine. That's not your knife. That's my knife, If your name's engraved on it, can't argue with it. This is a very good knife with the leather handle. Like, a lot about these K-bars, and they're pretty damn famous. They could be expensive, but if you look around, they're not that expensive. I can tell you one thing that's a drawback on them, and it's not a drawback from usability standpoint, but the fact that you got a blade on a tip here on both sides. In some localities, I don't know how the cops would look at that. That would actually go on with the the Air Force survival knife. When you have a blade on one side, you have a sharp edge on one side and a sharp edge on the other side. This knife is kind of sharp. I don't have it that super sharp. I don't actually use this knife as much as some of the other ones because that's another point. I don't feel like tearing it up. It is pretty good though because you could chop with it. But well, it's a good all-around size. I mean, everything has a freaking disadvantage and an advantage. This knife is about 7 inches, the blade. Now, if you got an Air Force survival knife, they call it survival knife. I know everybody talks survival on YouTube, but I don't know how many. Well, maybe one of these days, we might actually be in a survival situation. Who knows? The way the economy's going, But the survival knife from the Air Force has a 5-inch blade. That's probably not a bad thing too, because of it's got a way you can make it. You can put it as a spear, but I like this knife too. It's just that I have not used the crap out of it like some of my other knives because I just didn't want to screw it up. You know what I mean? That's part of the reason. Like something like this. This one's old. This one's been around for 45 years. This is a buffalo skinner. It's a classic shape. Probably a lot of people don't know about these too much today. But actually, you only use, if you're skinning, or actually you're gutting a deer, you only use this part of the blade right here. And this little curved edge is good, because it goes, it cuts wherever you got to cut, and, the guts come out, and you just pick it up, and it falls out, right? I don't want to talk about that, right? Because, it's one of those, you got to make sure the shit's advertiser friendly, but the reality situation. And it's not stinky, actually, when you do that with the deer, as long as they're eating a lot of grass. They smell like grass on the inside. Anyway, but that's what it is. It's a buffalo skinner, but it's got the serrated edge for the thumb right here, which is pretty damn handy. You got some force, right? I don't know if that's real bone or not. I'm not sure. This one's actually made in Germany, but it's about 45 years old. It's all metal. It's full tang, and it's got like a lock here. I remember I had to tighten this up a couple times, but now it's very tight. I use the crap out of it. You could tell. Now I just want to say something about sharpening. I used to use the whetstones and stuff. I was all sold in on that garbage. But, I'm kind of like, I don't feel like spending, well, I guess it doesn't take much time to use a whetstone, but I found these things be good. This one I've had probably about 5-6 years or so. I got one in my El Camino I probably had for about 25, 30 years. I keep it in the center console on the El Camino in case I got to sharpen a knife. These do not really screw up the blades like some people say. I know it's probably better to use, a leather strap like, a barber uses, like you can get it like a razor. But I usually don't need to have the blade like that, like a razor, But this has a carbide blade and ceramic on its side. And what I do with these to improve them, and I know some people say, oh, that's no good. I spray a little WD-40 on them, because that doesn't, then you're not, it's going a lot smoother when you're trying to sharpen a blade. You just got to hold it this way, and you put the blade, this is another well-used knife I had for about 45 years. About, I think 43 years maybe. 43, 44 years probably, something like that. This is a very well-used blade. This is stainless steel. I know some people say stainless steel, it's like this. I don't know what kind of stainless steel this is. I guess it is a good stuff because it is a K Bar made in the USA. This is a K Bar product. But the way you use these, you hold this straight upright, and you just go across it like that. You know, it gives it the right angle. And if you use the ceramic side, which is this side, you know, when's it going to wear out? I don't know. This one got used. This one's used a lot. And if you're really afraid to butcher up these better blades, I'm going to make a suggestion to you, Greg, actually. Because this is what I do. I get like a $5 knife in case, you know, I got to use it for something or I might screw it up. I'll use this for something else. This is a nice knife too. This is a K Bar. It's got the little finger grooves in it. You know, it's a full tang. It's you know, it's got the metal pommel on it. You can, I don't really hammer with it, but I don't like screwing these things up because they're quality. The better quality something is, the less I want to screw it up. That's probably why I don't use the USMC K Bar as much. As even these knives, I use the hell out of this Buffalo Skinner made in Germany, and I use this K Bar a lot. It's got the leather handle on it. This is about a 5-inch blade. That's about the same size as the survival knife. The one thing that on the Air Force survival knife, but one thing that's kind of cool about this K Bar, you probably have less problem. See, I don't know what law enforcement does, man, because law enforcement is like, it's like there's different you know, if you're carrying a knife, depends on, I guess if you're wearing a bunch of patches or something, like you're in a motorcycle club or something, you're just one of the nice fellows in a motorcycle club and you're wearing one of these, they'll probably frown on it. But then if you're hunting, you know, they're not going to do nothing about it, of course. I guess it all depends on the situation. It all depends on the person. But I could tell you this. One reason this blade will not get you in, you know, I don't know what, you know, a lot of times you get laws like over 3 inches and all this kind of crap, but usually a non-folding knife that doesn't have the sharpened edge on this side, like this, is less problem. The K Bar, we're not like carrying this around in my car, even, because they probably say you're carrying a deadly weapon or something. You know, even if you're just using it for like utility purposes, you want to have a knife on hand, because it's got this side that's sharp too, and it's not that sharp. This side I didn't even sharpen that much because it's fairly sharp. It's fairly sharp. I could drag it. It catches on your fingernail, but it's not razor sharp. All these knives are fairly sharp. I don't really go to town with them too much. I just sharpen them up some here and there as I use them. One I used a lot too. I use this K Bar a lot. You know, the one that's the smaller one, the stainless steel one. I don't have to worry about rusting. I use that Buffalo Skinner a lot. This one I like too. This is a USA Old Timer. Let me open it up. It locks back. It's a big blade. It's not as thick though. You can because it's got a hinge on here, you could kind of break it, you know. It's stainless steel again. It's not. It's some people bitch. I don't know. You know, the thing is, these quality blades though that are stainless steel, not all stainless steels are the same. You know, something says, "Oh, surgical steel." I don't think it's called. I think that's a buzzword for some garbage that's not good for knives. But, you know, I trust the brand. This is an Old Timer made in the USA. And this other one that's stainless steel is a K Bar, made by K Bar. So whatever the hell kind of properties the stainless steel has, I'm sure it's good. I kind of like them because they don't freaking rust. But they're not as good as the carbide steel. Now, real briefly, to tell you the truth, I use this little stupid Remington a lot from Wally World for like $5. It's got a little thing on here. The reason I use it a lot is because it's got a great, the serrated edges are great for stripping wires a lot. Stripping wires, I use this as my wire stripper all the time. This is like my mechanic's knife. I have only had this a few years, but I happen to use this a lot more. I stopped using my Swiss Army knife, and I start using this a lot more. This one is only, I think it's at least 3 years old. Or maybe it's more like, no, it might be like 5 years old actually now. It might be 5 years old, but I've used this a lot. It's got a lot of use on it. It's been sharpened a lot with this thing. Doesn't seem like it's screwing it up. But, you know, I use something like this for like stuff where I'm chopping away gasket material. You know, I don't feel like using a knife like this for chop away gasket material, okay? I mean, survival situation, it's the only thing you got, yeah, okay. But how many times are you in a survival situation? So if you have some good stuff, it's smart to get some cheap stuff, too. And this cheap thing from Winchester, did I say Remington? It's Winchester. It's Winchester. It's a Winchester. It's a $5 special from Wally World, and it's been pretty damn durable. It's got a very, very strong clip on it. I want to mention that in this because people buy these really good knives. You don't want to chip them up, man. You don't want to screw them up. And if there's something like, say for instance, you're carrying this. I'd probably like this. If I was going to carry one knife all the time, I'd probably be this K Bar, this smaller K Bar, you know, for larger blade. This one I like better, but it's just that, you know, in today's day and age, you know, if you're carrying that around, somebody's going to say, what the hell are you carrying that around for? Even this, they'll say something, but less so. It doesn't have the sharpened blade on that side. That's the other advantage of, like I said, I'm repeating myself, but you know, that Air Force survival knife, the 5-inch blade, it's better. It's got the serrated edge on the back where you can saw. It's got, you know, you can probably hammer with this too. It's pretty good. It's pretty strong. But, I don't know. They might go ballistic over that. You know, it depends on who the hell you run into. I mean, it's like you're not doing nothing wrong, but you know how things are getting today. I would carry this, and I would carry a cheapie like this. Here's another one I used to like to carry a lot, but it doesn't open up that quick, and I got to hold it and get it in my two hands to open it up. See, this one I like opening it up. This one I like better because it opens up faster. You know, it's got this thing here with one hand, and it's got this clip. This really holds on to your pocket really good, or your belt. This one, it's a good blade. Actually, my dad had this. He gave it to me. This thing's probably about, I don't know, 50, 60 years old, easy. But the other thing is, this is where it's called a Bosun or something. What the hell is that called? Something Lock Strike Bosun. Curry Lock Strike Bosun. I think that's what it's called. But this thing with this awl, and you close the blade, you got a handle like this. This awl is really good. Say you got to punch through some leather, or you got to punch through some tarp, and you got some paracord, and you want to make some nice, neat holes. You know, I made this thing pretty sharp. This thing actually is sharp. And yes, I know. You know, that's the other thing. It's like the way things are getting, like with law. You know, I saw an article. I'm just going to digress here. I saw an article. I think it was on Yahoo News or some news or something, about a 12-year-old girl pinching a kid, a boy on the ass. You know, 12-year-old girl pinched a kid on the ass, and she got put up on charges by law enforcement for I don't know, aggravated assault or something, because you know, little kids in grammar school or something. So I mean, it's getting so freaking crazy out there. It's like, God, you know, it's like when you carry a knife, man. I don't know. I mean, knives are utilitarian purpose. They got a lot of uses. Like if you're doing electrical, mechanical work, if you ride a motorcycle, of course, you know, if you're wearing a black leather jacket, they'll say, oh, you're a gangster, or you're a gang, or some, you know, whatever. Even if you have a Vietnam patch on or something. I'm not a Vietnam vet, but I mean, if you had any kind of military patch on, it probably, I don't know, depends on who it is. Act very nice. Just remember that. I'm going to tell you that. But this one I liked a lot. Just the blade, it doesn't open up as quick, and this thing has and it's for cheapies, because this wire stripper, I use this a lot. And actually sharpen these wire strippers up with file a little bit. Just kind of went over them because they're getting dull after a while. But you want a straight blade, I would recommend either this little K Bar or this Buffalo Skinner. And I do like the big K Bar. It's just that, you know, if you take it outside the house, it's almost like you need a concealed carry permit for the damn thing, the way things are today. You know, but if you're out in the field, you're cool. This thing actually is better because this thing can chop. this can chop. This you can't chop. There's an absolute big difference between the weight of this K-bar and this K-bar here. This K-bar is like, feels like nothing compared to this K-bar. And it also goes for this buffalo skinner. This buffalo skinner actually feels like it has a little more heft to it than this K-bar here. This one feels a little lighter than this buffalo skinner. This is made in Germany. Now, something else I picked up, and yeah, I just want to like look at this blade for the buffalo skinner. It is just a hair longer than that stainless steel buffalo skinner, and you can see the shape on it. It is a little bit, that curve is more important when you're gutting deer. This curve like that. That could help a lot with that real point on there. Actually, I sharpened it like that on a stone. This thing's been, you could see this thing's been, I don't know if you can see all that. This thing's been used a lot. real lot. This one's been used a real lot too. And this one too. Before I got this. Now, something I just got, and you know, it's not really a knife. It's a machete. And I could tell you that, get this thing out of here. This thing. This Estwing. This Estwing, man, you know, the fact that you can choke up on it, it's almost like a large knife. And it's serrated edge on the back. For the price, for 40 bucks, delivered, it's a damn good deal. The blade, you know what, I've been over this before, but this thing looks like it's really short, but it's only about 3/4 of an inch shorter than a bolo machete. You know, when you're looking at overall length. What the difference is where the blade is. And actually, you don't use all that. See, the handle on the machete would be down to here with the blade down to here, right? But with this thing, and I put it in here with the knives because you could choke up on it. See, this is not sharp at all over here. You could choke up on it here, but you could choke up on it over here. And, you know, you can use it like a knife. And it makes this K-bar feel like a feather. And this K-bar feels like a feather compared to the USMC fighting knife, right? And you know why this blade has that? You know, this is what you. These are fighting knives. Like the Air Force survival knife is a fighting knife too. It's got the blade on both sides of the tip. So you that's why I'm like. That's one. Well, I don't like using this one as much because I don't want to screw it up. You know, it's another thing. It's got my name engraved on it. It looks cute. I have used these two a lot. I'm probably going to use the hell out of this though. This thing's going to get some serious use once I start getting rolling on a tree chopping here. But different tools for different things. And like I said, one of the most important tips I can give you on this: look around for deals. These K-bars. They could be way big money, and you could still find them for 40 bucks. Okay? This Estwing is 40 bucks delivered, right? This K-bar, I don't know if they sell this anymore. This thing's been around, I got this about 40-something years ago, along with this buffalo skinner. And I got this old timer about 40-something years ago. This thing's a good 50 years old. This is good because it is punch. It's all punch. And you know what? This all punch is extremely handy when you got a tarp and you got paracord and you want to fold over the edge of that tarp. Yeah, I know it could be for leather, but in most situations, I have not seen too many instances where I'm going to be using it on leather because I don't have like reams of leather someplace or Cordura or anything like that. But tarps, you got lots of that stuff around. And yes, it is better to use a grommet kit and make a grommet with it and all that kind of stuff. But in a pinch, you just want to make a nice clean hole. That's the thing to do it with. It's not going to come out as clean as this. If you double or triple it up on the edge with a clean hole with that, it ain't bad, and some paracord, and you can really do a lot with a tarp. I would actually lean towards carrying something like this, small, something like this with the serrated edge, which you can also strip wires with, and you're very light. And maybe this K-bar, I like it because it's stainless. It just doesn't freaking get screwed up. This one, you might get a little light corrosion on it. And the other thing I want to point out with, some people bitch about these nylon sheaths. I don't think they're screwed up. Tell you the truth, I don't think they're screwed up. I think they're better than that leather in a lot of ways. The leather you got to watch out with. You got to spray it down with stuff so it doesn't rot. It depends on where you are. It depends on your climate. These can actually, you could spray this inside with all kinds of WD-40. And I know this blade has already been powder coated and all that, whatever's on here. But say, for instance, you had a nylon sheath for your... I know this looks a lot better, Marine Corps emblem and all that, USMC. It's a thick sheath. It's strong. And it's got rivets in it. But if you want to... and I know WD-40 doesn't foul up leather either. But if you want to, like, you could take, like, regular oil and put it on the inside of the nylon sheath, like maybe... some gun oil or something like that. So when you slip the blade in there, it gets a coat of oil on it every time. It's like the nylon sheath is going to be more durable against moisture. So I don't mind this nylon sheath. Some people say it's not. They don't like it as much, but to me, it don't really mean much. It doesn't mean that much. As far as leather versus nylon. Actually, the nylon's less money. It's probably better. I do like. Generally speaking, for most things, I like the leather grips. Now, this knife here, this K Bar, I like this one because it has the finger grips on it. This K Bar doesn't. It's just got, they're both very good though. But the thing is, this K Bar, that's the one that's stainless, is too light for chopping. I could chop with this. Now, this thing, I could definitely chop with. But it's so cool that you can. And it's not a knife, really, but it's a machete, but you can pretty much use it as a big knife. You could choke up on it like this. And what you sharpen this with, I used to use things like this and have another one that looks like this, only it's a different shape, but it's about this small. But I recently got one about a month ago that's for axes and machetes. It's along the same principle, but it'll put an edge on here really quick. And I'm not fussy about getting a ridiculously sharp edge on something. Because you beat it all day. I sharpen them up often. I like using these things. I know people say, well, whatever. But, actually, I guess my situation is I do more mechanic work than I do, I don't do woodsman's work. I do mechanic work mainly and motorcycle work. So I tend to chop up blades pretty fast. And even with this thing, and some swipes with some WD-40 like this. On here, it does a good job. And for most people, I know the most videos on YouTube are talking about survival and all this kind of garbage, but most of the time it's not about survival. Most of the time it's just about you need a knife for something. Like, it could be anything. And in a lot of situations you're using a knife the way you're not supposed to be. So keep some cheap ones around too with you, so you don't screw up your good stuff. And it'll save the blade on your good stuff. But just like anything, it's like for every there's opinions out there left and right. Everybody's got an opinion on everything. I'm kind of like practical, quick and dirty, that kind of garbage. Now you might think, I spent a lot of money on these bikes, but you know what? Not really. I spent how much money over 45 years? I didn't get all these at once. I've had this one about good 27 years. I've had these two over 40 years. My dad had this one from, 50 years ago. I had this one about 5 years. This one's about 40-something years old. And this one's brand new. This was about $40, $41 delivered. So, split that out over all those years and average it out. It's like, under 10 cents a year or something. I don't know what it would be. 25 cents a year. Not a lot of money, you know what I mean? So anyway, that's just a quick update. I'm very practical. And just I know I said it probably 3 times. Remember, if you get a good knife, get a cheap knife too. And this little Winchester and this Bosun, whatever the hell this thing is, lockmaker, Bosun. This thing's cool too. And this Winchester's cool. This is only $5. Get something cheap, because if you want to use your good knife for something like you don't want to use it for, that's what you got this for. In case you screw it up, it's only $5. There you go.